Ukrainian officials met with U.S. President Donald Trump's representatives Sunday, and Washington officials are expected in Moscow for more peace talks this week. However, diplomats face an uphill battle to reconcile Russia and Ukraine's red lines as a U.S.-led push to end the war gathers steam. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. The White House is optimistic about ending the conflict between the two countries. After a high-level meeting between U.S. officials and a delegation from Ukraine over the weekend in Florida, President Trump said there's a, quote, good chance a deal is coming soon.
Ukraine's got some difficult little problems. They have some difficult problems, but I think Russia would like to see it end, and I know Ukraine would like to see it end.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said further progress was made, coming on the heels of discussions last week, although he cautions more work remains.
We had another very productive session building off Geneva, building off the events of this week. As I told you earlier this morning, our goal here is to end the war. But it's more than just to end the war. We don't just want to end the war, we also want to help Ukraine be safe forever, so never again will they face another invasion, and equally importantly, we want them to enter an age of true prosperity.
Still, officials on both sides indicated a long road ahead as key points appear unresolved. They include whether Kyiv should cede land to Moscow and how to ensure Ukraine's security. On the other hand, efforts were complicated by the resignation of a top Zelenskyy aide during an anti-corruption investigation.
Ukraine's aspiration to join the NATO military alliance, that's something that Russia is categorically against. It wants to make sure that Ukraine doesn't join NATO, but Ukraine is refusing to change its constitution and formally renounce its aspirations to join NATO. What my source with direct knowledge of the negotiations was telling me is that there are various options being discussed that would make it something that Ukraine doesn't have to decide on.
Meanwhile, some leaders in Europe continue to express their support for Ukraine.
For us, it is important that the security guarantees are serious for Ukraine. Nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. We see that Ukraine is willing to negotiate, is showing this every day. We would also like for Russia to stop its maximalist demands, which amount to Ukraine's capitulation, which is obviously not acceptable.
Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that their priority is to obtain strong security guarantees from Europe and the United States. Zelenskyy, who's visiting Paris for talks with President Emmanuel Macron, called on Kyiv's allies to ensure that Russia was not rewarded for the war it started. The developments come as 4 people were killed and 40 wounded in a Russian missile attack on the eastern central Ukrainian city of Dnipro today, according to officials. Meanwhile, the Kremlin said that a Ukrainian weekend attack on Caspian Pipeline Consortium infrastructure was outrageous given its international significance and participation. The CPC project, which includes Russian, Kazakh, and U.S. shareholders, said that one of the 3 mooring points at a terminal in Russia had been damaged by a Ukrainian drone attack, and that operations had been halted. The Kremlin spokesperson also criticized Ukrainian sea drone attacks on oil tankers in the Black Sea, something he said was an assault on the interests of Turkey and the ship's owners. Turkey's president said the attacks were unacceptable, issuing a warning to all related sides.